not incorporating a Disney who wants to have your talent management agency. I mean, he used a couple of terms where it's as easy as saying, please figure out how to develop your promotional items. You know, he didn't say promotional items. He used a different term. They're like, but guy, why? Why don't you just use proper income? Layman's terms. But I truly believe that this is one of the videos amongst many of them online that kind of just break it down for you in a quick 2 minute, you know, way of how to develop your business strategy. Yeah. So we are going to be joined quickly by Margareth Gustavo. I'm not sure if you can hear us.
I can hear you. Hello. Hello, hello,
hello. Can you see all of us?
I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. I can see a handbag. I can see a lady right there.
Can you see me?
I can see you, yeah. Hi.
Welcome. How are you? How was your day?
Good. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. So we have a room filled with Raw community members. That's how we like to call them. And I think first and foremost, welcome to Raw. I think in our brief also, we shared that this is a peer learning platform for entrepreneurs by entrepreneurs. So welcome, entrepreneur. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right. So the so maybe as a quick icebreaker, maybe just to let the room know who you are, what you're most passionate about, just a brief background on who Margareth Gustavo is.
Did you just call me Margareta?
Yes, I did. And I keep saying this. I keep doing this.
Please hit her. My name is Margaret. My name is Margareth Gustavo. And I am born to Angolan parents. My father and my mom came from Angola long time ago, and they settled here. So I was born in Namibia. I'm raised in Namibia. Went to school in Windhoek. Predominantly grew up in Windhoek. Grew up in Wigo a little bit, and grew up in Walfish Bay for maybe 12 minutes, maybe 3 months or so. But predominantly my whole life has been in Windhoek. I am very passionate about this country. I am passionate about finding solutions to things that are wrong around us, and not necessarily sitting there and wondering, oh gosh, finding excuses. That we all go through that. And I'm not even going to say that I've never been in a place where I was feeling discouraged and didn't know how to move forward. But I'm more passionate about finding the solutions and surrounding myself with people who are as passionate about, making things happen. When there's something happening in front of you, you don't just sit there and, like, oh my gosh, the bridge has fallen. I'm always surprised at how Japan and these countries, like a bridge will crack today and tomorrow morning, the highway is fixed, everybody's going to work. And you know how it is in other countries. The highway is broken and it's broken and it's broken and it's broken. So I'm passionate about I'm passionate about young people and obviously the future. I live in the future a lot. In my mind, at least, I think a lot more about what things could be like, what solutions could one make, and that's really who I am. I've got a daughter. She's 23. She's studying brand management. I don't know why she's going to do that, but she's studying brand management, and I'm very proud of her. She's my ace, my 2IC, my best friend, I think.
Yeah.
I hope she doesn't hear that, because then they start disrespecting me or something like that. But otherwise, that's me. And yeah, so thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to listen. And there's a lot of things that I probably will share tonight, that many things that you're asking questions about that I might not know, and that's perfectly normal. Learning is part of what we all do every day. So please do your thing.
Well,
that's me. Anything else you want to know about me?
No, that is fabulous. That is very a mouthful. Number one. Does anyone have questions about her upbringing? No, but okay, we can easily just tap into maybe your entrepreneurial journey. So how has that been? What have you been up to? What are some of the business ideas you've had? Some that you have actually made possible, and some that just died by the pillow. So maybe just a quick roundup of your entrepreneurial journey.
You know, when I was younger, I don't know how many of you know, I don't know how many of you have experienced it. You know, the aunties that sell fake food and kafana and what have you. When I was younger, I actually went to the north to visit my aunt. And when I got there, they used to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, imagine how many of you have seen that meme of the little boy that's sitting in his cot wearing caterpillar shoes and dressed properly, and then he's running around with his cousins in the north, and the cousins are like dirty in the sand, and the boy's just there watching with his bottle. So I felt like that, you know, the aunties are waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, my cousins are up 5 o'clock in the morning, and they're running around, and they were frying petcook and they were frying fish. But you see, Angolans have a way of making fish. We love garlic. So our fish is not necessarily just, you know, fishing spice or whatever. We put garlic in and the garlic seeps into the fish, and you will enjoy an Angolan fish, fried, grilled, whatever. And so they taught me. So I started waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and making petcook with them and going to sell it with them and come back at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So when I came back to Windhoek, I started doing that. I asked my mom for money. I can't remember who I asked, but somebody gave me money. And I started making petcook and selling the fish we were living in Bogota in Capital at the time. So I was walking around there and selling fish. By the time I came home, you know, all my fish was sold. I knew how to, you know, that when it's getting time to get home and you still haven't sold a couple, you know how to discount it so that you can just get rid of it and go back home empty-handed. If you come home at least with one piece of fish, that's perfectly fine because then we'll have it for dinner as a family. So it started off there. That's the first time I ever thought about, you know, like how business is so exciting. And, you know, it's hard work. Obviously, I had to wake up at 5 again. I mean, as a young girl, high school, 5 o'clock is a lot to ask for. Don't you agree? But as an older person who's running a business, 5 o'clock is like an essential, get up and go to work kind of thing. And I remember that I've always had, when I see something, I always had an idea of, you know, like maybe we should do this to fix it. Maybe, and I just never took the time to do anything about many things that I thought about. One of the things I had is always like exclusive books was always an idea I had, but a bookshop that you have, that people can come and read books. There's a library, but there's also a bookshop to buy. And a friend of mine actually started something similar. And so I canned that idea because I mean, it's already in Namibia. Okay, not that it's taken off. I think he closed it a few years ago. And that was something that I also had in my mind. But what really stood out for me is when I was working in corporate Namibia, I knew my time had come to an end, but I didn't know what I needed to do. So I applied for a job at this company, and I went for a job interview. Terrible. They asked me questions about marketing, and I had no clue. I was just running marketing brands, you know, of the country for a while now. I came from Team Namibia, I went to Number Malls, and I was just running these brands. And I sat in that interview, and I thought, my goodness, what are these people asking me? It felt like, you know, when they ask me questions that you don't know, and then you walk out of the interview, you're like, oh, this is what I was supposed to say. I was blank that day. And so I had three options: either find a job, or I could go study. Those were the two options I actually had at the time. And then one day I just had this idea. Well, why don't I there was a gap in the market that I identified. So we all do a lot of advertising. We come up with campaigns on how to promote our products. But a lot of what was missing there is a strategic intent around marketing, how strategy plays a key role to actually promote your product, and how you can put strategy together that will inform your promotion better, that will inform your pricing better. Yeah. So for me, that was the idea that came to me, and I thought, okay, let's go focus on strategy. That's a part there that's missing in the communications, in the branding industry, or in the branding market. And so I started Cornerstone in 2013. I started with a company called Joe Public. They're in South Africa. one of the top leading advertising agencies, and they had a department for strategy. And I met them like a while back through a friend, and then I met them because we called them to come and do something for us at the company where I was working for. And I loved, I mean, the guys who are working there, their minds are beautiful, beautiful minds, smart people. They know how to structure things, they make things easy. So like from a marketing strategy point of view, it wasn't that complicated. You know, when you're at school, you're like, yeah, marketing is so difficult. But actually, they just made it so easy. They had a flow chart, they knew exactly what it is that they were doing. And that really inspired me working, like I said, you know, work with people who are top of their class, people who think beyond, you know, I mean, just limitations, who can really think beyond. And so they really inspired me, and then we started the company. So today we've changed a few things. We've bought out Joe Public. We just Cornerstone the movie at the moment, and that's how it is. That's my entrepreneurial journey. So every time it's evolving. It's been 7 years in business. Next year, April will be 8 years. So many, and I've just realized that often the first 3 years were the toughest years in the business. I had a great partner. You know, they could put in money into the business if they could. You know, I mean, whenever they could, they would say, "Fine, Margaret, what is it that we need?" And I remember they did put money into the company for cash flow purposes at the time. And then now, like 7 years later, again, it's like, how do you reinvent yourself? You know, so everybody is on the marketing bandwagon. Branding is becoming so important now because people realize that it's not just about having a great product, but how do I promote this product and how do I position this product in the market? And so that's my entrepreneurial journey. I'm very excited about the next many years. I'm excited about being a bit more in the back seat, coming up with ideas and solutions for clients, and allowing our team to run with many of the things that we've been running with all the time.
Awesome. And congratulations on your 8th year, if I heard that correctly, for being in business. That's quite an accomplishment, if you ask me. I think the following question is just for a startup, for someone who's still in idea stage or who just scored their first client, you know. In a nutshell, if I had to like challenge you a bit, just you said marketing really has a lot to do with figuring out your strategy and how to, see how you can position yourself in a market, especially if you are having a brilliant idea, an idea that people need in this time. How would you kind of narrow down some of the key steps when developing a strategy? Like just quick roundup.
Okay. I think when I looked at in preparation, there was a specific something that came to me, and that is marketing is predominantly, if I look at the text definition, it's predominantly your product, your price, your promotion, where are you going to market this? You know, the 4 Ps. How many of us know the 4 Ps? You know, we all studied it at school, we all knew the 4 Ps that we had. And then recently they started adding things like people, how do you take care of the people, your target audiences, etc. So from my point of view, if I can give you an example, when we started Cornerstone, we said we knew we had a niche product. We knew it really hasn't been done yet in Namibia, or it was being done, but it wasn't scaled at such a level. Perhaps, maybe I'm wrong. And we decided to look at, okay, what are we offering? And we came up with a purpose statement. Our purpose, we sat down, my colleagues from Joe Public sat down with me, and they asked me a few questions, and then there were some themes that came from that. And from that theme was essentially just, what do you see the business in 10 years' time? And a lot of the stuff that came together all came down to, any business wants to grow. And so they said, what we see is that you want, obviously, this company to grow. What is it that you are offering? We went to obviously look at our competitors. We looked at our competitors, what are they offering? We realized that many of them are in the advertising space, coming up with campaigns, but very few are strategically driven, strategically looking at a company. Because marketing is really your full company. And that, what is our cost? Add a markup to it, and that's what we're going to charge per hour. We needed an office, so we needed to take all our operational costs, consider all of that, and put a price together, and we're going to charge it per hour. Now, we're sitting at a time where we have to look at how do we create packages that, so people can engage the price better than just, well, we'll charge you for an hour. Because there's different types of clients in the market. Now, in the past, we were working a lot with corporate, but there's a lot of clients that are smaller clients that have the opportunity to actually scale themselves up, and marketing is a tool that they can use. And then if you look at your people, if you don't have a team that's going to drive this product, one on the shelf, let's take services for instance. Services, if I'm in a bank and the bank is, there's no teller there that day, but there are 20,000 people standing outside, it's not a very great impression from a marketing point of view. Or imagine now your team went out there and said, you know, the bank is able to, let's take, I don't want to use any of the taglines out there, just now I say something wrong and then people are going to come back to me. Let's say the tagline is open at 8, and then 8 o'clock there is no teller. It's open, yes, but there's no teller. People are going to be disappointed. 10 to 1, if it happens 3 days in a row, they will not come back to you. So I'm thinking, your people play a key role. From a service delivery point of view, people play a key role. Your product is really the thing that you're putting together from a banking point of view. It's your check account, it's your savings account, and investment account. All these accounts are not your product that you're offering. But now, if I don't understand what it is that my company is offering, and I'm selling something to the gentleman over there with his red notepad, I'm selling something to him, and he doesn't, and I'm not selling him the right thing. What happens? Or the lady with the, is that checkered? No.
It's
Leopard.
Like leopard print, like a leopard print. The lady writing print. So imagine I'm trying to sell something to you and it just doesn't make, you don't understand what it is that I'm selling. One thing that I can say, there are specific products that I know for fact. I was going to mention it now and I thought, no, I can't. Many people don't understand the product. It's complex. So people just buy it because somebody told them you need the product. So if I were a small business, number one, where is my product? What is my product? Who needs it? And I don't even need to know whether somebody needs it or not. Because if I am convinced that in the market there's room for it, there's room for something new, you can put your product out there. How different is it from your competitor? So if you don't go position it in the same way, if it's bottom chips, what's different from your bottom chips? Or is it just bottom chips? Or are you going to be open till 10 o'clock at night selling your bottom chips until 10, whereas all your competitors are open until 8? So that's your differentiator. How different are you? How relevant is your product in the market? Figure that out. Many times relevance, I was having a chat with one of my colleagues, relevance is not really very important because sometimes your product is so irrelevant at the time, but so necessary and people don't know they need it. Steve Jobs always used to say, he never did market research because many times people don't really know what they need until they see it. And then build your credibility around that marketing plan. So your marketing stuff, your communications, you're going to communicate eventually, but make sure that my product, the place where I'm selling my product, my price that I put on the product, what are the process of making sure that whatever I say to people is actually what I'm doing. Very key. I'm telling you I'm open at 8. Be open at 8. So don't let the security guard be at the door and you guys are still inside scaring, and the security guard is giving a tough time to the people outside. You said you are open at 8. So then there is that value proposition that we heard about. What is the value that you are offering in the market at this stage? And so it's a process that you take, but it's really just thinking through, from a strategic point of view, thinking through this product. And if you look at it, it's really about your business. It's structuring your business in such a way. And when you start doing your communications, it's a walk in the park because you're communicating something that you know I will be able to deliver on, that you know from a price point of view, I will be able to make money off of this product and I will be able to grow as a company. And then how the messaging that you put around your communications, which is under your promotions, your P, your promo P, that will be again, how different is it from your competitors? If we all saying the same thing, buy now, buy now, buy now, buy now. Nobody's going to see you as very different. So you need to come up with a different messaging as well. So I don't know if that gives you something to think about, but that's essentially what I would do, but in a democratic way, but that's marketing to me.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Because I think one of the couple of things that came to mind was also the fact that during this pandemic, a lot of businesses really moved online. They really moved their entire operations if not services or products online for you to either buy it using some payment gateway, I don't know if it's or just you click here or you like my page or it is a discount if you put some of these things is now I think why we are also here and whatever marketing strategy that the room try to develop, is it still relevant now that the state of emergency is no more? Are we going back home tomorrow and re-strategizing and figuring out, oh, the world is open again? How do I make sure that I am still in line with the COVID-19 regulations? How do I, position my business in a way that people still feel safe? So maybe just highlighting or some personal experience around how Cornerstone has managed to stay relevant in terms of their marketing strategy.
we were busy doing research, and you should join the webinar on the 8th of October because we did some research and just trying to understand how the lockdown actually impacted brands and businesses in the market. On the 8th of October, if you go onto our social media pages, you will find the registration information. I just want to say there's three things that I want. One needs to look at this whole situation from a very holistic point of view. One is, what are the actions I need to take today in order for me to handle this COVID-19 situation? What should I do to recover? Because many of us think about it, we just either we too much in the future or we're so afraid to move, we just stay here, we don't do anything. So what are some of the actions I need to take as a company today? Considering consumers, what are changing amongst consumers? Considering even your company, is your organization effective? I think this time gave us a lot of time to think about, look at our companies, and look at how have I been structured, and how can I change the structure in such a way. Many of us, the first thing we did is just cut salaries or fire people, whatever, which is very understandable in such cases. But then again, it's obviously if I have to look at my organizational effectiveness, look at the market as it were, how are consumers shifting in what they want and how they need it. And then if I look at my category, in other words, where I operate in as a company, so categories could be anything from automotive or retail or what other categories are there? The different categories that you find. So it's just like from selling cars, that's automotive. What are the shifts there? You notice that many consumers are not buying cars anymore. So as a person who sells cars, how do I shift with the time? What are the actions I must take for today?
Yeah.
What actions must I do to recover? Yeah. What must I put in place to actually take me to the next level so I know that I will recover in this time? And then, how do I prepare for the future? Very importantly, how do I prepare as a company in terms of effectiveness? How do I prepare, especially looking at our company, our consumers or our clients, whoever it is that we're working with? What are the shifts that are happening there? And how do I position myself to shift accordingly? Yeah. What are some of the dynamics in the categories that are happening that you can form your product in such a way that that consumers are still going to buy you? And obviously repurposing, sometimes we need to repurpose our brands. Yeah. And our brand was probably doing one thing and then we need to repurpose it to do something else. Yeah. I know that many companies in the Namibian market, for instance, some of the guys were manufacturing certain products that required their plants were put up in such a way that they could actually make hand sanitizer. Yeah. So they changed their factories. So I couldn't manufacture perhaps the food or whatever it was that I had manufactured, so they started making hand sanitizer. Opportunities again, how can I repurpose my plant? Yeah. So it just doesn't stand still. Yeah, exactly. But it's a matter of really understanding what is happening around you, reading, doing some research, just understanding what's happening around you. Many times we just like, oh my gosh, doom and gloom, and it's over. But it's not that over. Because COVID was a season, it's gonna come to an end. It's already today, all the memes that have gone out. Thank you, Mr. President, we are free. I don't know the words, but we are free. Like now it's over. So what's our plan?
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say that all of you with a business, is to really sit down and ask yourself, From a product point of view, what are the actions I can take today? From a service delivery point of view, what are the actions I can take today? From a promotion, distribution point of view, what are the actions I can take today that can keep me afloat?
Yeah.
And yes, I guess if jobs have to be cut at some point, they will be cut. But I think that should be the last resort. An example I always have that's so dear to my heart is insurance, for instance, and life insurance and that kind of thing. So, I mean, yes, we can get 3 months payment holiday. And I don't know, I haven't spoken yet to any of the insurance companies to say, but imagine if you could actually come up with a product that could help your consumers in this time, and not necessarily, I get a 3-month payment holiday because it has to be paid immediately. I get a 3-month payment holiday. But is there something else that we could do? Perhaps develop our products in such a way. We were having a chat about it in the office. For instance, there's 20 years of my life as an adult where I get married and I have children, I have to take care of my family. And then after the kids all leave home, I don't need the same insurance I needed when my kids were at home. I need a different kind of insurance. So what kind of products can we come up with that help consumers in the different phases of their lives instead of just one combs all the hair? I mean, our white sisters have got nice silky hair, we've got nice, beautiful hair. It's all different. But I use an afro, they use a brush. I also can use a brush if I want to. Please do not go and kill me with the story that just happened last week or 2 weeks ago. So I'm just using, there's different strokes for different folks. I'll use an afro, somebody else will use a brush. It's just a matter of what is it that I have at this stage? What do I need to use to change? So number one, what actions do I take now? Number two, what actions do I take to recover? And number three, how do I prepare for the future? And this is stuff that we also got from a research that was done internationally by Cantor. They do a great research on how brands can actually bounce back from COVID-19 and from the pandemic.
Yeah, Margaret, I think one of the examples that you also shared was in the automotive sector, how they are trying to incorporate the whole COVID-19 is that back then, they would give you 5 years to pay your car. Now they've extended an additional year. So that means what you pay per month has been lessened just a little bit to accommodate the new situation, your new pay cut, if there was a pay cut. So again, like just how you highlight, maybe some of the audiences might want to share how they decided to kind of COVID-19 proof their business. Who would like to share? Yes.
So hi everybody. I run a waitressing company. So what we do is we provide, before COVID, I would find people, train them to become waiters, and they like with proper training and qualification, they would send them out to restaurants and hotels, basically would rent them out. But then after COVID hit, events came to a standstill, people aren't hosting events anymore, but the restaurants still stayed open, hotels still stayed open. So we kind of had to reposition. So now what we're doing is focusing more on training existing waiters that are in restaurants and hotels. The very few that still kept their business, still kept their jobs. Our thing is we just trying to improve customer service in Namibia because it sucks. It's like borderline. In restaurants in Namibia, in restaurants and hotels, they can't afford to lose any more customers. The very few that still come out maybe because the waitress was rude or she is just, has no clue what she's doing. She doesn't know what is in the food, things like that. We're trying to focus on educating the people while, events are slowly coming back.
Okay, so she repurposed, the business. That's awesome. Does anyone else like to share? Perhaps even maybe it's a business idea that you're working on, and now that you are hit, yes, please.
Oh, I was waiting for you to finish. Mine is actually a new business. It's actually I do business strategy. I formed it based on the coronavirus. You can't hear me?
I don't want to get
Okay, I'll remove safely. Okay, I run, It's a company based on business strategies. It's called WNN Business Strategy, whereby mine was focused on the coronavirus because business is so hard, right? So it's for companies to come to me and tell me what areas we hit. And are you looking for new solutions? Or are you looking to repurpose? Are you looking to recover? what are these areas? So you can come to me and we can work together. And trust me, I love the difficult stuff. So bring the difficult stuff to me, and I will give you the solutions.
Yes,
Yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
All right, all right. Does anyone else want to perhaps see if they were at that particular point in their business where, um, maybe Margaret can help me on this one. There were a lot of grants being given out to small businesses or businesses are doing it because of COVID-19. But some of the requirements ask you to kind of draft strategies that incorporate COVID-19. So how do you make sure that you don't lose any more stuff? What are some of the mitigation, measures that you put in place to avoid, production costs or loss of loss of sale or loss of clientele? Who has personal experience in submitting an application form to get funding? Whether you pitched it and received money, whether you tried, like what were some of the things that they asked in terms of how are you going to make sure that your business is top of mind? Because we always go with the slogan, love the problem and not the solution. Yeah, help it?
Okay, so is it still, are we still on COVID bulletproof?
Yes, we are bulletproofing our business.
Hi guys, Linda.
Hi, Linda.
Okay, so we offer extra classes to school learners in sports and computer lessons, and we also take them for educational tours for entrepreneurship tours, like the toolbox, we bring them here. So what we actually decided to do is we decided to go online, and thanks to Bololo, I learned about Slack and other online platforms on how to deliver lessons to learners from a distance. But then since some most customers are still stuck in the past, they still wanted contact, teaching the child face to face. So we then also introduced mobile programs where teachers are allowed to go to the kids' house, teach for an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours, depending on their number of kids. And yeah, so, but to maintain social distance, we had our sanitizers and the parents were sure that we didn't cause any threat to the kids' health. And we also decided to, since most parents are looking for tablets, we decided to find a supplier to give it to us at the lowest prices and instead of the high price because they were in demand. Yeah, so after I recently secured the pitch, we also decided to purchase a number of tablets, but those will be specifically for the academic. So learners will be allowed to rent them out, but they have to give a deposit fee of 500 in case if anything breaks or anything happens to the tablet. Every month they will then be required to pay $150 or $200, but then it will still be offered. So in a way, we will be making money, and with us teaching them, they still have to pay for that.
Okay, awesome. Well, kudos to you for bulletproofing the business. Yay. Well, Margaret, our time is slowly coming to an end. There's one question that I would allow, and then if you had some closing remarks, then we'll give you an opportunity to just share some of your thoughts.
But go ahead. Alright, so when I first started my company, like very few people were doing what I intended for doing. So I was trying to figure out for those that are in ideation stage, they want to like register their businesses. There are times where because the business is so much, a lot of the services don't exist here, which gives us entrepreneurs an opportunity to start businesses. But then Marvin mentioned something about you need to look at your competitors and they said, you do it differently, you're better than your competitors. And I know a lot of people say that, you always have a competitor. There are very few times where either you don't have a competitor or they're there, but like nothing's happening. So in cases like that, how would you like advise us to kind of structure our businesses to ensure that yes, we're making sure that we're targeting our customers, or like how do we even begin to place ourselves? Because we've got no food, so we don't really have any kind of backing,
Yeah. I think it would probably be a bit different for every single business.
Yeah.
Like, all of you sitting there, each one of you is very different, and even the businesses that you have, we could both be in catering,
Yeah.
but I would be a bit different. When I talk about competitor and differentiation, if I'm already doing something completely different from you, there's no way you are competing with me, but you're probably not. And many times, when we come up with a new product, something that's never been done before, 10 to 1, it's people will copy it and then they'll do it because they saw that it's profitable. And it's a matter of how do you keep your game up in order to understand what it is that how do you continuously reinvent your product in such a way that you are able to always be ahead of the pack. And I guess it comes back to that, what's your strategic intent? What is it that I want from my product, that vision that you have for your company? What is it that I want to achieve? And then focus on that. Because many times we're so busy looking across the world, trying to see what the competitor is doing, that your competitor has run so fast, Frankie cannot even catch up with you. You know what I mean? So you are left behind in any case. What was the point of? So when we're looking at our competitors, it's really just to understand, for you to look at, okay, what is it that's happening? But how do you look at your company and the vision that you have, considering everything around you, everything that's happening around you, and position yourself in such a way that you can continuously be number one, always offering something different and something new that consumers need. There's also no point in offering something new and nobody wants to buy it, because then you don't really have a business. So nobody wants to buy it, so then just don't bother. Yeah. But I guess it's that continuously reinventing yourself. For us, we've reinvented ourselves. We're going to do things a bit more differently, trying to get, obviously with the times, what's happening in the market right now, brands are now being informed a lot more by information and data. It's really understanding what's happening around you and using that information that you are able to give it to the client as information to use, for them to use to make better decisions. So it's how can we be, we've got a solution for you, and the solution could sometimes just be research information. Sometimes it is, so you're gonna have to turn your whole company around, sell off all of this, and be able to come up with a new product. But there in your product, in your company, there is something that you can take to the next level. Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I really feel like it's completely different. The differentiation strategy can be on where you sell your product. It can be on how you speak about your product. It could be on the price that you have on your product. So differentiating yourself could be on any levels of the 4 P's of marketing. It doesn't necessarily have to be just on say, looking at your competitor and saying on just the product itself. So it could be on anything around the marketing plan.
Thank you. I
and
like that
very
one.
importantly, I wanted to share this, is that many things have changed. The way people are consuming products now. I spoke to this one gentleman and I asked him, what do you think are some of the things, the consumer behaviors and some of the consumer trends that have shifted? And he said, one of the things that has shifted is what we eat. People are now very conscious about what they consume. Yeah. Because COVID was how do I build my immune system? Yeah. So everybody's like, no, I mustn't eat that, I must eat more oranges, So even that fresh produce has sort of shot through the roof. Yeah. Even some people who never ate fresh produce now have to eat fresh produce because they realize that's one of the ways to keep themselves healthy. So it's understanding the products, how has that changed, how people are consuming products, how are people shopping? We spoke about online shopping now. How big is it really in the country? Can the whole country just go on to online shopping, or will it just be a certain group that you can take care of? Work and how we socialize and how we work. People are now working from home. Others are still going to the office. But it's again, who are you targeting and how are you structuring that? And then some of our attitudes. What is your attitude towards everything that's happened now, and even your consumers and your customers? How do you keep them? Because if your brand is lively and your brand is positive and your brand continuously is coming up with new things, people will want to associate themselves with you instead of your competitor who is gloomy and like, no, we don't want sanitizer here, we just don't want you guys here, we just stay where we are. So that's the kind of thing that we want to look at, the different attitudes that we have, the perspectives that we have in this time. So as a business owner, I want to encourage you to stay positive and find the opportunities in the situation. I know many of us can say, Margaret, it's cliche, but I'm telling you now, find the opportunities in the situation that they. I mean, I've heard it everywhere. People are all saying, the cliche, never waste a crisis, and it's true. It's in times like this where the real McCoys will show up, and the guys who are not probably so real. And it's with brand building. You need to build a brand over time. It's about sustainable brand. You can't now come here at the Johnny come lately at the last minute. Now you want to change things around when nobody was really interested in you in the first place. So you've got an opportunity to change things now. How do we offer great service now? What kind of improvements can we make to our product so that we are sustainable in the long run? The next time there is a crisis, your product will stand because people know that you are able to navigate the massive storms that are.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure to have you share your insights, especially your personal journey. I'm sure we all learned a lot. Yeah, and should any of them have questions, we will push definitely for all of them to attend the event, the webinar on the 8th of October. We'll definitely share the links for those that are interested. Please join, you'll get a lot more of this